Hey everyone, it's Alex, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to share with you Mirage, Marvel Snap's brand new card that is now available for players around the world. Mirage is a very fascinating card, and one that I think is going to provide a lot of players with a lot of utility in a variety of different decks. In this video guide, we'll be discussing Mirage, some potential synergies and weaknesses, how Mirage generates value in power, we'll talk about some comparable cards, and finally, we'll showcase a deck and take you through a gameplay example so that you can see Mirage live in action. Mirage is a 2-power, 2-energy card that copies the lowest cost card in your opponent's hand into your hand and gives it +2 power. This, in and of itself, is a very powerful ability. Now, Mirage generates value in 4 unique distinct ways. The first, of course, is via the body itself, the 2/2 power, and that's not really that impressive. Generally speaking, at 2 cost, you want a 2/3 stat line, so you're giving up a little base power for the ability. But that's the second way that you generate value. You have a new card in your hand and it has +2 power. That +2 is notable. The other way you're generating value, of course, is that Mirage is adding cards to your hand. When you add cards to your hand, it benefits cards like Collector. It'll benefit cards like Devil Dinosaur, which will love to have the very large hands to generate additional power. And finally, the fourth way, you're thinking, Alex, we got 4 ways. You talked about the 3 numeric ways. Well, what's the fourth? Well, the information you're getting from Mirage is incredibly important, okay? Marvel Snap is predicated on your ability to identify good opportunities to snap and retreat. That is how you rank, that is how you find success in Conquest, and anytime you have additional information that your opponent may not have, it is a significant advantage. So Mirage provides you with that advantage by essentially giving you data on what your opponent might be playing next. And that's incredibly important, because if you play Mirage on turn 2 and you copy their Silver Surfer and then they snap, they might have their combo, and if you lack the opportunity to kind of deal with that, then perhaps it's a good opportunity to retreat and fight another day. In certain matchups, there's going to be times, especially in Conquest, where Mirage is going to be your absolutely favorite card, and it's going to provide you with a disproportionate amount of value. A good example of this might be in a Conquest match against someone who's playing Silver Surfer. If they're playing their cards out on turns 1 and 2 like you would expect, and you play your Mirage on turn 2, there's a likelihood that you hit something like a Brood. And when you add that Brute to your hand, it's a 3/4, which provides you with an incredible play with incredible value. It's basically a 3/12. That's insane. That's insane, and Mirage generated that for you. It also has the capability of hitting discounted deaths against destroy decks, which is pretty significant because your death is going to be more powerful than their death, and it's going to get discounted as they destroy cards, or it's going to be free if that's what they've decided to do. It's incredible to think of the value you can generate. She-Hulk is the same. If She-Hulk is discounted, and it becomes the least expensive card in their hand, you can hit that She-Hulk. Another good example of how Mirage might be very good in specific metas is, well, right now, there's a lot of Mr. Negative happening. And guess what? Any negative card is going to be very easily targetable by Mirage. Imagine pulling a 0/5 Iron Man with Mirage and then turning it into a 0/7 Iron Man. I mean, that's enough to tilt out anybody. So I do think Mirage is going to have a lot of opportunity to surprise. All right, let's talk deck building, the strengths and weaknesses of Mirage, and some additional card synergies and comparisons. So what we've got here is we've got Moon, Mirage, and Dino, which I think is a fantastic starter deck for anybody pulling Mirage from the Spotlight caches for the first time. Now, this is a relatively inexpensive deck. We only have a couple Series 3 cards. Most of the cards are Series 1 and 2. You do have Kitty Pryde, who if you don't have, you can replace, right? But Kitty Pryde was provided by Second Dinner for free to all players who were playing, when Kitty Pryde was released. But otherwise, if you don't have Kitty, you can add like an Iceman or whatever you want. I'll let you be creative with your deck building. However, what I'll say is that you have a couple key synergies here that really stand out for Mirage. And the first and obvious one is going to be Collector. Anytime you add a card to your hand that didn't start in your deck, well, Collector gets a +1. And guess what Mirage does? That Sentinel does that, and so does Moon Girl. And Moon Girl's another key synergy, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the other key one, the really important one, is Quinjet. And Quinjet coming out on turn 1 really elevates your ability to use Mirage with some major oomph. Because what you get is you get not only the discount that Quinjet provides, because Mirage is generating a card, so it's going to be discounted, but it also gets that +2. So you're getting +2 power and -1 cost on that card that you generate, which basically makes it disproportionately fantastic for you to play. And so that's good. It's just a really good value proposition. And what's notable about that is if you Quinjet on turn 1, you Mirage on turn 2 or 3, and you get something really spicy, you can then Moon Girl on turn 4, and you can replicate the card at its discounted and buffed stats. So you're getting like, you're double dipping on the effect in some way, because you're getting the discount twice, you're getting the Mirage +2 buff twice, and that makes Moon Girl really happy. And guess what? Devil Dinosaur loves that as well. So there's a lot to love about the way this deck works. It's a very functional, strong deck. And what you can do is with Moon Girl, you can play Devil Dinosaur turn 5, then Devil Dinosaur turn 6, in conjunction with your kitty. Or what you can do is you can Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur on turn 5, and then you can Mystique plus something else on turn 6. Mystique plus Cosmo, or whatever you want to do, right? So there's a lot of different options here, and the Chavez is designed to push the cards forward, so you're more likely to draw your Kitty Pryde, your Quinjet, your Mirage, Angela early, etc. Okay. Now, before we dive into some gameplay, which we're going to do shortly, I want to talk about a couple of cards that are kind of unique in the sense that they have very similar effects of Mirage. And you might be thinking, Alex, why put Mirage in a deck instead of Collector or instead of White Queen? Or how are these effects similar and different? Well, the first thing worth noting here is that White Queen has a similar effect, right? White Queen is going to copy the highest cost card in your opponent's hand, which is key. It also has more power. It's also a 4-drop. But it doesn't add any additional value to the card you've copied. It's just, you basically get scouting information on what the end of your opponent's game might look like, whereas the Mirage gives you opportunities to take a look at what the middle part of their game looks like, right? So White Queen and Mirage are definitely very similar. What could be unique here is Cable. Now, Cable pulls the card out of your opponent's deck, which is very important to understand, because while Mirage adds the +2 power and copies it, Cable denies it. So you get the card, and now you know, oh, they don't have their Shang-Chi, or oh, they don't have their Null, or they don't have their combo piece, they don't have their Silver Surfer. And that is what Cable does in comparison to Mirage. Mirage copies, Cable denies, but Cable does not get the +2 power on the card itself. So you have to ask yourself, what's more valuable? In Conquest, you might lean towards Cable, because denying a card is extremely valuable. It's extremely frustrating for your opponent to deal with. But with Mirage, maybe you just want the power. You just want the power. You want the scouting information, but you want the power. So there's different options that you have here. And I like the deck building considerations that are provided with having cards that have similar effects. But, at the end of the day, you just want to make that Devil Dinosaur nice and big, but you want to be able to make informed snap and retreat decisions. Another thing worth noting here is that Mirage has a bit of an issue, right? So what you can do with Cable is you deny a card, and that's cool. But with Mirage, sometimes cards just suck. Like, you just get a card, you're like, yeah, that's not very helpful. Like, you get a 1/4 dagger. Cool. It's a 1/4 dagger. That's pretty good, right? 1/4, that's a good stat line, but unless you're running a move deck, you ain't moving that dagger, right? Like, that dagger is not going anywhere. And so you get some reduced value there, right? So in some matchups, Mirage might be a bit of a whiff. However, generally speaking, Mirage will be able to find itself in decks pretty confidently. It's one of those cards that, like, I think is really important because it helps players at all collection levels. Whether you are someone with a complete collection, you're looking to min-max a Devil Dinosaur or some card generation deck with Collector, or what you want to do is you're a player at relatively low collection level, you just got started, you unlock Mirage, and guess what? It works wonderfully with one of the best cards in the game that's available in Series 1, Devil Dinosaur. So there's going to be, everyone can benefit from the use of Mirage. And so let's pull it into some gameplay examples. We're going to play this exact deck, and we'll see what Mirage can do. All right, here we go. We have Quinjet and Mirage in our opening hand. This is absolutely fantastic. I'd snap, but I don't want to scare them away. I want to play this out. So what we're going to do here is we are going to play our Quinjet into the known location. Quinjet with Isle of Silence and some other stuff. Usually you want to play in a location you know. Sometimes with other cards, you're more willing to throw them into the unknown location. Like a Nightcrawler, you definitely want to throw it into one of these unknown locations. Because if it's borrowed with no name, yeah, just move Nightcrawler. It's not that big a deal. We do have Bifrost, so the Quinjet will be moving over. And of course, we have Mirage. Now, this is a bit of a predicament, and I like that this happened here. So we do have Quinjet and Mirage, which is a great combo. But we also have the Collector, right? The Collector is going to benefit from Mirage. So I would actually lean towards playing the Collector first. Now, this allows us to basically play Mirage on turn 3. Hopefully, we have someone like Kitty Pryde, we draw into some additional value there. But essentially, we're going to be able to play that Mirage down. We're not going to want to play Cosmo on turn 3 under most circumstances. And that is a very interesting play, not one that I would have expected. And Danger Room is one we're going to want to dodge there. But so what's going to happen here is Danger Room, we're not going to want to play there. So we're going to play Mirage into the Bifrost, which allows Bifrost to push us into the Danger Room. And we're going to give a one to Collector while generating some value with Mirage itself. Let's see what we hit. And what's notable about this here is we also have Moon Girl in our hand and Devil Dinosaur. So this is a great example. Under most circumstances, I would snap, but I don't want them to retreat. Okay, I want you to actually see this play out because I think this is a very strong game setup here. But this is what I would deem a snappable situation. So apparently they think they can snap on me, and that's a really bad choice considering what my hand looks like right now. So we have the Doctor Strange. It's a 2/5. Now, Doctor Strange, this is not the kind of card you generally want to hit with a Mirage because it is a very specific kind of card, and we're not going to get too much value from that. In this situation here, what I think we're going to do is we're actually going to play Cosmo down into the Avengers compound here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to play Kitty Pryde into this location here. And the reason for this is because on turn 5, what I believe what we'll do is we'll actually Moon Girl to generate some additional value for Collector. It's also going to give us a replicated Doctor Strange. So there's a couple different ways that we can actually approach the end of this game here. And, you know, we'll have to see how this plays out, but ultimately I'm pretty confident in our ability to win. And I mean, just the Doctor Strange at 2 power, at 5, like for 4 power, we're putting up 10 strength. But as you see, Kraven running up quite a bit there. It's a lot of value for Kraven. And I can imagine Heimdall potentially coming in on the other side here. We have a couple options here. What I'm going to lean towards doing here is showcasing how Moon Girl can work with Mirage, Collector, and whatnot. So I actually do think that Devil Dinosaur probably gives us the best opportunity to win in conjunction with Moon Girl and Sentinel, and Kitty Pryde, of course. But what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to Moon Girl and I'm going to Kitty Pryde. The reason for this is because Kitty Pryde is going to bounce back to our hand. We're going to deny our Chavez pull, but okay, we're going to generate more value for Collector, and we're going to have 2 Doctor Stranges, which I think is going to be absolutely huge. Let's do it this way. Okay, Iron Fist comes down, so there we go. Collector ramping up. We have 2 Doctor Stranges at 2/5, and Kitty Pryde's going to come back to our hand. Wonderful. It's also notable that the Devil Dinosaur has been discounted as well. So we do have 1 Devil Dinosaur at 4 cost. We have the Doctor Strange at 2/5 and 2/5 as well. And of course, we have the Kitty Pryde as well. So we have a number of different options here. Ultimately, I lean towards they're going to push left, right? So we're going to want to give this location left because if they Heimdall, these cards are going to push, they're going to ramp up. They're going to have to Heimdall here or there because of the Cosmo. We can do something like this. We can actually Doctor Strange here to pull the Collector this way, and then if we play the Devil Dinosaur into the middle, we'll actually kind of bait them into going left, and we'll win this middle location. We're not actually going to play our Kitty Pryde, but this is one avenue to win here. So this should be Heimdall. It's what kind of we expected. It's exactly what I anticipated happening here. And so what we're going to do with this Doctor Strange, we're going to bring over the Collector, and we're going to win the game. All right. I like the Iron Fist into the Heimdall play there, but ultimately it's going to be our Devil Dinosaur that takes that victory. But as you can see, the Doctor Strange was a very interesting choice here. It gave us a couple optionalities on how we could approach winning that game. The replicated Doctor Strange, we even left one in our hand, honestly, but ultimately we have a lot of hand generation with the Moon Girl, with the Mirage, and you know, Doctor Strange is a good example of a card that really you don't want to like, it's not the greatest hit for Mirage. It's not the greatest hit, but it's a good example of what you can potentially do in this game. Regardless, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope that this video helped you get excited for Mirage and give you an idea of how Mirage can be used in a practical sense to help you win games in Marvel Snap. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in that next Marvel Snap video.